All right, Pat. We're here to recap the 2-day joint practice Vikings Titans with you. If you're down, are you ready?
I see that we were trying to test our offensive line against a sturdy defensive line, and that's not a bad idea, I don't think, to find out if they can play or not.
There's
Who
a
we worried
clip.
about? Anybody?
Well, there's a clip going viral with Garrett Bradbury just getting tossed aside like a 10-year-old child.
Oh, really?
Titans defensive lineman.
They got the big guy in the middle there. Does Tennessee got the big mean guy in the middle or not?
Bigger and meaner than Bradbury in the clip that I saw. Yeah.
And then we got the Ingram problem too. Who's the right tackle? Is there a chance this guy they brought in there's something about the first game, right? If you don't have him in the first game, then the contract isn't. You can just, if you bring him in for the second game, the contract isn't guaranteed, right, for the year or something.
Correct.
Isn't there some other rule? So
yeah, if you sign a guy after week 1, right?
After week 1, so maybe that's what they're probably.
Brian O'Neill's probably, Judd, you can speak to this, but it sounds like he's going to mix in next, like he's going to be back next week with the joint practice against the Cardinals.
That's the plan. That's what
What is his long running problem here that's from the end of last year? What is it?
Achilles.
Ooh, we don't like those Achilles.
Not a fully torn. We actually had a foot doctor came on Purple Daily, a fan of the show, and explained the difference between like when Phil Lodeholt tore his Achilles and that was the end of his career.
Tear versus a full tear.
Yeah, this is a partial tear and it should be fine.
But it shouldn't be confused with plantar fasciitis, huh? Because we all that is not the heel. That is the period between the toes and the heel, right? That it's kind of underneath the other side of your arch, whatever we call that, right?
No self-respecting big man would miss time, Patrick, because of that.
Because of plantar fasciitis. If you're a right guard,
you just keep playing through it till it rips.
All right, and then you want it to rip. That's what I always couldn't figure out about plantar fasciitis. Gee, I hope it rips. I don't know, but so that's over, and now you can go pay to watch an exhibition game Saturday night and see nobody that they saw out there for 2 days. The Tennessee line that you saw kicking the Vikings' ass, they won't play. They won't play, right? You're gonna get the third team. It's ridiculous, but the NFL doesn't care because you're all a bunch of saps and you're gonna show up and pretend like you're having a good time. So, do we bother with the whole SKOR deal for an exhibition game?
I think we have. Fans need to practice. Going into the regular season.
At training camp, the fans do the SKOR chant, Pat. So they're in the stands doing the SKOR.
I did. Hey, by the way, I found my pass for my one Viking game last year, the Giants game. I found my thing. If anybody wants that as a souvenir, I can send it to them.
Actually, could you autograph it and we can auction it off, maybe for?
Yeah, we did. It was laying in the back of in my trunk or some damn thing. But I hate that stadium because it's so damn big and you got to walk all over, and it's you can't just walk right in and sit down like you could at the Metrodome. But then you go to the Giants game. I went to the Giants game, and there was 25 extra minutes of foreplay. That's what drove me crazy. They kicked off like 25 minutes late, right? Because the other one wasn't over.
The other playoff
game.
They
just had to keep doing nonsense for 25 screaming loud minutes. I can't take it. I'm too old. I can't take it. I can't.
What did they do to fill the 25 minutes? Was it like more fire? Well, they don't do the fire thing anymore, right? They had to stop doing that. So
I don't know. Well, it was just more loud cheering, not SKOR. They only do the SKOR thing once, but I think they added an extra 3 minutes of SKOR or something. I don't know, but
the world's longest SKOR, 20 minutes of SKOR, consecutive minutes of SKOR chanting.
It was a complete din, though. I mean, it was just. Remember when it was a big deal when they were playing the Bears back in the days, and we wouldn't shut the music off, and in the Metrodome, it was considered a big deal. Now it's just constant. Crazy noise,
Ditka got all pissed off. I believe he coined it the Roller Dome, right?
Roller Dome, and then And then didn't he come out on roller skates or something? Didn't he come out on roller skates?
That sounds right.
That sounds like something Mike Ditka would have done.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Lynn was trying to do stuff to agitate him too about the roller dome or something. So that's when we had a good rivalry with the Bears. That's about the only time we really have, because they generally stink.
Are you? Well, people are pretty optimistic about Justin Fields now going into the third year, and they've got some weapons finally.
I think they're terrible. I don't know. I don't think he's an accurate. He's got one major issue. He's not an accurate passer.
He hasn't been yet. Yeah.
I think he's got the Christian Ponder problem, which is he throws the ball where the guy is instead of where he's going. That's my theory on him. That was always Pond. That the big thing with quarterback is, do they get the ball out front or not? And Fields has a tendency to throw it where they used to be rather than where they're going. So I don't like him too well at all. But once in a while they'll have a good half and they'll get all excited, and because he's he's an athlete, he's the new model. But they're the last place. Well, they're probably going to be the last place team in the division, don't you think? 6-11.
I think the odds are in favor of that right now at most sports books.
What do we think about the Packers? If Jordan Love can play at all, is their defense okay, or what do we know about them?
I think it's okay, but that's what we don't know. Is like that could be such a monumental step down. And I still think, this whole thing about the Lions are going to be great. The Lions, this excitement. I mean, come on, it's the Lions. Until they actually are playing in the playoffs, I ain't buying it.
Aren't we starting off with about 4 of them not playing because of gambling or something too? Aren't we? Don't they have a bunch of guys?
Well, they're young. Williams, right? Their young receiver is suspended for a chunk. By the way, I saw a great note from somebody on Twitter or X the other day that John F. Kennedy has only missed one Lions playoff win.
Yes, that is. Well, that is 1957. 1957 was their. They won a championship with drunk Bobby Lane, and they've won one playoff game since. Am I not?
I think they won one with Wayne Fonts and Barry Sanders in the mid '90s, right?
Yeah, they won one,
and they got to a conference championship game, I think.
And was that the conference championship game that was like 9-3? Didn't they beat Dallas? Now we're
gonna pull it up here.
Down in Dallas.
I think they played, if I'm not mistaken, they played Washington then in the conference championship game.
Right.
That was the Super Bowl that was here,
right? Yes. Yeah, I think Washington advanced, beating Detroit, and I think they did beat Dallas.
Yeah, they went 12-4 that year with Barry Sanders lighting up the NFL, and then they got beat by that Washington team 41-10.
Ooh. Well, who'd they beat? Who'd they beat in the playoffs then? Or nobody?
They beat. Let's see here. They smoked the Cowboys.
That's what I thought.
38-6. They beat the Cowboys.
See, I'm not as senile as you guys give me credit for.
No, you're a little senile, but not fully senile.
Right.
You got a low-scoring game, so it sort of balances out.
You know what? One of the worst things that ever happened to them happened right here on the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. Billy Sims.
Yep.
And it was Billy Sims was going to be Barry Sanders. I mean, he was fantastic. He was a little bigger too. He was not probably the most elusive a guy, but he was Oklahoma, fantastic. And just took a bad step on the dome turf and his knee, right? His knee went, and he never was the same. Never, one of the few knee injuries that couldn't be fixed. Now that was the mid '80s. So
early '80s, yeah.
I mean, the surgeries weren't as simple as they were then, but they weren't. It wasn't like when Tony Oliva was getting operated on with a hatchet, back in the 60s.
like the Civil War, where they just they give you some whiskey and chop your leg off. Yeah.
They saw. When I had my knee surgery in the mid '60s, ending my potentially great football career, you know who did it? The town doctor. I always say I'm so old, I'm older than pizza, because Minnesota didn't have pizza until like the mid '50s. And I'm also so old I'm older than orthopedic medicine because you didn't go to an orthopedic. The town doctor just cut you open and tried to see what the hell was going on.
Like your primary care guy who
Yeah.
just does everything, is slicing you open to give you surgery.
He was an Estonian, Dr. Olaf Luke. And he cut my one. I think we went to a hospital, but he just cut my surgery. It was only, they didn't know what to call it back then, but I think it was only a meniscus. But
did they give you like an anesthesia, or did they just have you bite down on a towel?
I think we had I think we probably had anesthesia then. I'm not sure, but it's it is amazing what the difference between a knee injury then and now. But it is amazing. Billy Sims' career done just because of one injury.
Mm-hmm.
Never came back. It was never
it is the most. I mean, even like think about how many random teams just pop up, because the NFL is a socialist league, right? If you're the worst team gets all the opportunities, they're going to have the first overall pick at the quarterback. And even when the league is trying desperately to just give everyone a chance to be competitive, the Lions have been to playoffs 3 times in 20 years, and they have, like I said, the one playoff win in 60 years, 65 years.
It is incredible. It is. I mean, they have to repeat this. Mike Tyson, Brad Childress were 16-1 against the Lions. That's the greatest stat of all time. Bud Grant is in the Hall of Fame because of the Lions. Yeah. That's why he was in. He beat them 28 times or some damn thing like that. They have been the gift that keeps on giving. It's for all. They were good. They were also very smart. In the 60s, they had a bunch of dummies running the organization because they had a drinking buddy of the owner. What was his name? He was I can't remember, but he was the drinking buddy, the owner, Bill Ford's drinking buddy. Russ Thomas. He was the worst. But they they were fairly good in the 60s. And when they were remodeling the divisions, they were, because we put the merger and the coastal and all that stuff after the merger of the AFC. The Lions tried mightily to keep the Vikings out of their division. They did not want the Vikings in the division because they were smart enough to see, Alan Page had gotten here, and the defense was going to be fantastic. And that was thank God for the Vikings. The Vikings got to say thank God that didn't work, because they've been playing them twice a year for forever. So.
Yeah, and you bring up like ownership. Their ownership's always been just questionable. So ownership, front office, head coach, quarterback are the 4 big pillars. And I would ask people, I think they're going to be good this season, but how much do you trust the Lions organization, Dan Campbell, and even though I like me some Jared Goff more than these guys do, like how much do you trust all these big pillars with this organization to go win 12 games?
Campbell is a meteor running across the sky, isn't he? He's not going to have staying power.
Is he going to have a 20-year run as the head coach of the Detroit Lions?
He's a shelf life guy, huge.
He's going to be in there bad-mouthing a bunch of big old linemen someday, and they're going to run over there and beat the crap out of him and leave him laying on the ground, bloody, They're not.
Hopefully on Hard Knocks next year, actually. It'd be great content.
Yeah, but he's who was the guy that we thought was going to be pretty good there? Schwartz, and he flamed out too, right?
But he probably had one of the best runs of any Lions coach, because they did go to the playoffs, and they might have. I guess
Caldwell
I thought
got him there, I think too, right?
Caldwell had a good run for sure.
Yeah. Well, not a good run.
Well, they were above 500 in the 4 years Caldwell was there.
So. Holy cow! That's
for their standards. It was great.
If you guys are looking for some guy before they play the Lions as a guest to badmouth the Lions, get Rob Parker. Call my guy Rob Parker. He'll always badmouth them. Even out in L.A., wherever the hell he's working now, when we did our show. Call Rob Parker. Rob Parker will badmouth the Lions with the best of them.
I love it.
He detests them. Not personally. He just, I got to know right now he's got to be going crazy with all this optimism, because he's the guy. No, They're the Lions. It's not going to work.
What do they do though? Like if they actually did get good, it would be such culture shock there. Because literally for my entire lifetime, and I'm 53, they have just been for the most part garbage. But the greatest one, Patrick, the greatest I think hire in Lions history was the Matt Millen era.
Oh God, yes.
Oh, and fans would run around with signs inside.
Yeah, I was there. I was there the day the guy had a sign the size of your computer screen. A guy that had a sign, just some guy sitting in the stands with a Lions hat, 20, 30-year-old guy. Fire Millen, it said. Just Fire Millen is all it said. And the TV camera found it, and they played it, and the crowd cheered. And then they had security try to take the sign away from this guy.
Yeah.
And for the next 10 minutes, security chasing the guy around the stadium was the big story of the day. That's how stupid they are.
Yeah.
Fire Millen, put a sign up, show it for 5 seconds, and it's over.
Yeah.
But they turned it into this unbelievable drama. And the funny thing about Millen is, when he was with the Raiders, he's one of the greatest interviews of all time. I got him. He was at a Super Bowl with the Raiders, and they used to do these tables. I don't know if they still do, where every player has a table on those interview days, those 2 or 3 8 days. And Millen's table would be, crowded beforehand because everybody knew. And the Raiders had a lot of competition for great quotes too, but Millen was fabulous, and then he turns out to be a complete knothead. So
yeah, and he was pretty good on Fox for a while, and then
I think he's terrible he's on Big Ten Network now, right?
He's bad now, but he was. I think he was pretty good in the '90s when you could just run like a meathead offensive lineman out in the booth.
Guy to Madden.
Yeah. He was. That was after that was before he became the GM, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. He left Fox for that job.
Yeah.
For the GM job.
Another one of my favorite moments there is, William Ford, the next generation Ford basically made that town, right? Not 1920s or 1910s or whatever they started making cars there. So Bill Ford was probably the third generation of the Fords, and he's waiting at the elevator after they lost to the Vikings, and these meatheads are running by Lions fans, drunk, like the guys, screaming obscenities as you're waiting for the elevator in that poorly designed Silverdome. And, you believe, come on. He did provide jobs for this town for 80 years, for God's sakes. Anyway.
It's perspective. Perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got to run here in a minute, but your quick thoughts on the state of the Twins here going into this weekend series.
Pittsburgh's been playing terrible. You should win 2 out of 3, shouldn't you? You better win Friday and Saturday because you got Meatball coming out Sunday. They're going to give Keuchel one more starts before, Louis Varland's pitching great. Louis Varland's pitching great at St. Paul, and he actually throws a fastball. So what do we do there?
No, we're just laughing at the
You said
meatball.
Meatball for Keuchel.
That's
Keuchel.
a great nickname.
It's a good nickname.
God, yeah.
Hey, Meatball.
Yeah, he's. I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in modern baseball. When you can't.
No strikeouts is going to to tough thing to navigate.
They don't chase like they used to. Now, if he had a chance to pitch against the Twins, maybe he'd be okay because they'd chase it up. But he's, they don't chase that sinker like they used to, and it's not the same sinker. But just watch him. A guy who could hit you in the cheekbone and not hurt you is not a guy that you want to have on your mound. It's not going to work. So.
Yep. No, that's. I think you're right, but they'll give it a try. Maybe they can win 11-9 or something on Sunday. And
I think the good news. The good news from Wednesday is Julian got a little life back in his bat, though. He got 4 hits because he had been good for about 3 weeks. So that was good.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. All right, boys. Pat. Enjoy your weekend.
Yep.
Reusse Unchained, presented by our friends at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. So Power Lodge celebrating 25 years in business, bringing action and excitement to Minnesota as your go-to destination for all things marine and power sports. And you can check out 25 days of deals at their local locations, Brainerd, Ramsey, Onamia, and Sauk Rapids. Find out more at powerlodge.com.